Good morning. It's Tuesday. How you doing? I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. 7:24 in the morning here in western Iowa, where it's cold and getting colder, and some flurries this morning and this afternoon and this evening and tomorrow, and maybe some rain and freezing rain and snow on Friday for western Iowa. Let's go through that and the rest of the country. First, we'll start with the hazards. And we have a lot of fog up there in the east and then the Ohio Valley, Indiana. But further north into New England, I mean, we're looking at winter weather advisories, especially some wind along the coast, even some flooding issues for parts of Vermont into Connecticut and Massachusetts. Then along the Great Lakes, more winter weather advisories, also winter storm watches up because we have more of that lake effect snow coming back. Winter storm warnings for the UP of Michigan because of lake effect snow off of Superior. A little bit of snow there for Montana. Winter weather advisories there, so be advised there'll be winter weather. It's flooding problems perhaps for Louisiana, southern Mississippi. It's cold in Texas with freeze watches scattered about the Big Bend area, for example, and then also parts of East Texas, just north of Houston. And then you get into Arizona, and it's freeze warnings for southern Arizona. Some wind issues for Southern California, red flag warnings here, and a freeze watch for parts of central California, and some fog in Oregon and Washington and Idaho, and a little bit of wind issues there in Wyoming. How odd for them. That's kind of normal for them. All right, here's your weather spotlight. And, back to Harlan, Iowa, where I live. Just because I know a lot of my friends watch, or I shouldn't say a lot, but some of my friends watch. So this morning, 21 degrees, this is 6 o'clock. Chance of snow today. Now, we're talking light snow. And then for tonight, a better chance of snow likely and blustery. The Weather Service is saying less than half an inch accumulations today and tonight. So maybe up to an inch for some. Could be a surprise. All right. Turning much colder, 20s for highs Wednesday and Thursday, lows single digits Wednesday night, Thursday night. Friday comes our system. Chance of snow, freezing rain, and Saturday barely above freezing. So getting pretty active here. Kind of fun. I like it. All right, current temperatures, again, we're in the 20s here in western Iowa, low 20s, barely 20. And then colder, of course, as you head northwest and north. And in the Rockies, it's even colder with lows this morning in the single digits, say, in the mountains of Colorado. And so, yeah, it's just cold. Basically, western 2/3 of the country. It starts to warm up when you get into Texas. Lows this morning, 50s, 60s in the southeast, and 40s going all the way up into the Great Lakes, where it will be getting colder. Temperatures this morning, not as cold in southern Arizona as they will be tomorrow. Here's your 24-hour temperature change. It is a little cooler in southern Arizona than it was yesterday, but only by a degree. This will be more dramatic tomorrow. Four Corners area, basically, much colder than it was yesterday. Same through the plains into the Midwest, the upper Midwest, even Ohio Valley. So it's cooled off in a lot of places, a little bit warmer for the southeast compared to this time yesterday. Surface today, that cold front going all the way through Texas. This is as of this morning where the fronts will be at 7 a.m. Eastern time. So, and there you see the chance of light snow, northern plains, upper Midwest, and even into Colorado. Could be a mix for eastern New Mexico. Again, it's not a lot here in any of those areas, really. You have to get to the cold front, the stationary front in the east, and ahead of that where you see the heavy rain, and it will be heavy rain. Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, flooding issues a possibility. On the backside, starting to turn to snow. We'll go over that with the GFS. A lot of rain up in New England and even some freezing rain in northern New England. Even severe weather possible today down in the southeast from New Orleans through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, not quite Atlanta, the panhandle of Texas, Tallahassee, Panama. And then even a tornado risk in that same area. Just a 2% chance, but could be a tornado or two in this area. So if you're in this area, You might want to keep a NOAA weather radio handy, or at least some way to get warnings just in case. Anomalous temperatures for today, so below average. The Four Corners, Texas, Southern Plains, slightly above average where I am here in Iowa. Much above average, though, today for the southeast into the Ohio Valley and up the East Coast. And then the highs today for the east, I mean, pretty warm, 60s and 70s. And we see the same for Texas, although West Texas cooler, 50s and even 40s for the Panhandle. And that 40s goes all the way into, say, Kansas and parts of Nebraska. Will be 30s today in western Iowa and 20s further north. And also in New England, it's pretty warm. 40s, mostly some 30s. But that's going to be getting colder. Same for the plains. Lows tomorrow morning. Here we go. Look at that, in the 30s in Tucson in southern Arizona. And you see a lot more even colder temperatures in southwestern New Mexico. So that cold air pressing south and being felt, we're talking single digits, even double digits below zero for North Dakota, and single digits here in Iowa too. So that cold air is coming, hanging on to a little bit more warmth. Remember, these are low temperatures. So the southeast, not a bad start. Surface for tomorrow, here comes that cold air through Kansas, Missouri, into Illinois, Wisconsin. Light snow spreading across the Midwest into the Great Lakes. Heavier snow, though, off of the Great Lakes as we start to turn the snow machine back on. Scattered storms for the southeast up the mid-Atlantic, switching to mixing with and changing to snow on the backside there. And then again, a chance of freezing rain up in northern New England. Our next storm system for the Pacific Northwest moving in with rain and snow. Severe weather tomorrow, it's possible. North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, just up the coast, New Jersey, parts of New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. And will there be tornadoes tomorrow? Well, there's a slight chance for like Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. So again, have a way to get warnings just in case. Anomalous temperatures tomorrow. Here comes the cold into the northern plains, 20, 30 degrees below average up here. Invading into the Midwest will be 10 degrees below average here in western Iowa. That cold air starting to invade the southeast, single digits below average here. A little bit warmer for Texas, single digits above average here. And even warmer than that further west. And holding on to the above average temperatures on the warm side of the front for the eastern seaboard. Highs tomorrow. So North Carolina switching from 50s west to 60s and 70s east. Same for Virginia, South Carolina. So again, that front makes a big difference. If you're on the warm side, it's warmer, obviously. And the cold side, it's colder. Cold air invading the northern plains and the Midwest. It's a temperature barely 20 for tomorrow here in Harlan. Highs in the negative single digits, Minot, North Dakota. And a little bit warmer for Texas. So 50s for highs and even 60s along the coast and further south, which for them is kind of cool. All right, 48-hour precipitation. Oh, man, from the southeast all along up the east coast into New England. It's going to be copious amounts of precipitation, obviously mostly rain, mid-Atlantic south into the southeast. Could see a couple inches in isolated areas. Some of that's going to fall as freezing rain or snow up there in New England. And, of course, for the west, that's a mixture. That's rain or snow depending on location and elevation, as I like to say, because it's true. All right, there you see where the snow is going to be. And so even here in Iowa, with the flurries today, light snow tonight, flurries tomorrow, I mean, could add up to almost an inch all across Nebraska into Iowa, even a little bit more than that, South Dakota. The greater amounts, of course, in the Great Lakes, especially in Michigan, where that cold air starts to turn those snow jets back on. See a little bit of snow there for West Virginia and also Wyoming into Montana. Surface on Thursday, cold air invading the Great Lakes. with heavy snow off the eastern Great Lakes, even a little bit off of Lake Michigan there. And then our next storm for the Pacific Northwest with rain and snow. And this is showing snow in the valleys, in the Treasure Valley, and in the Gem State. So we'll see. Snow in Nevada, Utah, Oregon as well. All right, anomalous temperatures for Thursday. Still above average for much of the West. And then much below average for the northern plains into the Midwest, into the Great Lakes. That's where the cold air, the Arctic air is invading. And now the front has cleared the East Coast by Thursday, so below average all the way to the coast and even through Florida. Highs on Thursday, 40s for Virginia instead of 50s and 60s. And so, much cooler all the way to the coast. Warming up a little bit in Texas as that warm air starts to bubble back up. And it's getting cold. Well, it's still cold, I should say, because this is like day 3 or 4 for that Arctic invasion for the northern plains into the upper Midwest and into the Great Lakes. Let's check it out on the GFS, shall we? This is this morning, and you see that cold air sinking all the way into the Four Corners. And so cooling things off West Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and of course the plains. You get further north, you get closer to the core of the coldest air. So that cold air is being felt now across the plains and into the Midwest. And as we go through the day today, we're watching a front forming here, and we're going to see some rain and even heavy rain across the southeast moving into the mid-Atlantic. This gets us to this afternoon. Actually noon right here. So heavy rain, Georgia, Alabama, moving into the Carolinas, lining up now. Don't forget our severe weather threat here today, even isolated tornadoes possible. And that cold air all the way into the southeast behind this line. And ahead of the line is the heavy rain and, again, possible severe weather. And then we see the cold air wrapping in, changing over to snow on the backside. So this is tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Some snow down there into eastern Tennessee, parts of Kentucky, Ohio. Rain and heavy rain out ahead of that. Changing to snow, West Virginia. That line of storms along the coast, very heavy rain. Moving offshore, heavy rain on top of snow here for Vermont and New Hampshire. This is Wednesday night. This is Wednesday night, midnight. And as the low lifts, look how windy it is here. Those isobars really close together just means wind. The 540 line all the way down into Tennessee, usually the demarcation line between rain and snow. So snow and heavy snow coming off of the Great Lakes as we're getting the lake effect snow back. Again, this is Wednesday night at midnight. Meanwhile, Pacific Northwest, Northern California, new storm system moving onshore. Excuse me. There we go. That's better. All right. Rain and snow, Northern California, Southern Oregon. Windy and cold. Northeast, Great Lakes, Midwest, not as windy, but cold. Although some winds cranking up here in the northern plains. And then we see a little bit of light snow on Thursday for Iowa. Already zoomed past the light snow for today and tomorrow. And then as we get further on, we see that we're hanging on to the cold air. Northern plains, Midwest, Great Lakes in the east. A little warmer along the southern tier, which they like that mostly. I know there's some kids who want a white Christmas. Anyway, now, Friday the 13th. Dun, dun, dun. This is noon. We're starting to see a low form and some precipitation starting in Nebraska, Kansas, southwestern Iowa, Missouri. So a mixture here and some snow. And as that gets its act together, a mixture and snow pretty close to where I live. So that mixture and snow line. So is it going to be ice or snow? It's going to be plenty cold. It's going to be like 20 degrees. So if it's freezing rain, that's going to be not good. But could be some good snows. Friday the 13th in the evening, moving into Saturday the 14th. Right here is midnight. And so by Saturday, this low pressing eastward, clearing east to west or west to east in Nebraska and Iowa, but some pretty heavy snows there for northern Iowa into Minnesota, into Wisconsin, into the Great Lakes as we get into Saturday, your weekend forecast. But rain for Ohio, snow north of that in Michigan, Rain in the eastern Great Lakes on top of all that snow, but it's getting lighter as we go. Pacific Northwest, oh, here we go. This is midnight Sunday night, and we're starting to see a swath of rain busting out from, I would say, from, call it Illinois, maybe even Wisconsin, down through Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Yeah, but some snow up along the Canadian border. Another system for the Pacific Northwest with rain and snow as we go. Could be snow all the way down to Boise as cold air presses in behind it. This gets us into Tuesday of next week with scattered snows from Idaho, Montana, eastern Oregon, eastern Washington, rain along the coast, more rain in the Great Lakes before it turns colder there again, but we see warm temperatures bubbling back up into the middle of the country by, say, Tuesday of next week. So we're getting pretty far out there. I'm going to zoom real quick through just you can see what the trends are over the next week, and it's kind of on the warm side. But here we go, closer to Christmas now. This is 22nd. This is the 23rd. This is the 24th. Will there be a white Christmas? For Iowa and for Minnesota and for Wisconsin. Well, it's still a ways away, but here we go. Remember the run I showed you the other day, showing that same storm? Maybe we'll get some consistency. Maybe a white Christmas here in Iowa. All right, highs on Friday as we complete your weekend forecast or your time back. So again, getting colder, Midwest, Northern Plains, Great Lakes, on the warm side, Texas, South Plains, Southeast, although the Southeast kind of chilly Friday. Saturday, warming up a little bit along the south, and that cold air retreating in the Midwest and in the Great Lakes, so all moving back into Canada, but still hanging on to near freezing here in western Iowa. Sunday, that cold retreats even more, warming up from south to north, and that's kind of our trend, 8 to 14 days. December 17 through 23, a good chance for most of the country to be above average temperature-wise, including Alaska and Hawaii. And precipitation-wise, a good chance for most of the country to be below average precipitation-wise, except for southern Alaska and the panhandle of Alaska. Is that you call it the panhandle of Alaska? I think so. Southern Texas with above average precipitation perhaps, and same for the Northwest. Now, keep in mind, just because you have below average precipitation doesn't mean zero precipitation. It's like if you're expecting an inch during this time frame, which would be a lot, but just for illustration purposes, and you get a half inch, you're still getting a half inch, but it's below average. That's all I'm saying. So, white Christmas for Iowa. Oh man, I'll keep dreaming. And not only will I keep dreaming, well, I'm going to keep you posted too, because I'll be keeping me posted too. All right, stay warm, and we'll update you again tomorrow right here on the Weather Mike. Thanks for tuning in.